Greetings once again. Thanks for matching with me today again. I'd like to further our journey, our exploration, but I would like you to open your mind up to a position, a way you can approach this. The allies of time are numerous, and they are not opposing to side up, as in your UN allies, against another. It's time in and of itself is an ally. It's a tool to be used. And see, with that, you have several tools that time can encouch and express. So we call them the allies of time. Different, let's say, suggestions that are offered in the now with a relative reality relating to time gives you a new way to express. So let's express in a position. Let's also take a stance from now and look at today's earlier class as well as the class it's going to conclude in some eventual now. This amount of information that we've given you is simply just a potential. We'd like you to notice something. We're not teaching you anything to do with what's right or wrong with you. We add some elements if they're appropriate, but the focus is not that direction. The focus is to what? To focus on your unknown self. It's not to distract you, it's to show you the availability within you, right? There's nothing that is pressing to be rights and wrongs or to be focused as important or sought after to feel better or successful about. Those happen naturally in day-to-day life as you occur yourself more in the now, and the now will lead you, or let's say lead you down ally time relationships as well as now relationships that give you a life that can only be concluded as immeasurable, truly. So you are now seeing when you don't focus on something, it deconstructs it, destroys it, makes it go away. Not really make it like, get away from me, but since you're not focusing on it, it's not there. Just like nothing behind you is there until you become visioned with it. Whatever you conceptualize as an experience. It could be vibrationally existing, it can be a vibrationally existing in feeling, vibrationally existing in the idea of sight. However you feel your reality as a truth, as an experiential, is your now. Everything else is not, right? Doesn't mean it's destroyed. It's all within existence, but you're not focusing on it, so it has no concern nor matter, no subjugated reality of needing to know, right? So today's class, and this class as well, is going to take you into worlds of mysterious. Now we understand when we spoke to you with the attributes of the 5 masteries that was given by a upline or a future hybrid civilization, that of Willa, and one of them was the cryptic self, right? That's mysterious. So when we offer you the human self, an idea of what you would consider mysterious, it might seem to be at another time, in another self, very irrelevant, fascinating for a while, but truly you always would tell yourself, get back to reality, right? That was one of your attachments to the real, because every time you started to explore fun, it literally ran out of fun because you had to get back to the sustaining self of imagery. And since that sustaining self has grown less and less valuable to the conscious you are more me instead of me as and then and was, those things, those don't count anymore with you, so you become the value, the investigation, the relationship with the now, and this is part of the offering. Now, what we offer is not greater or less than any other reality. It is simply what reality is in all nows, unknown to known, unknown to known, and you just let it pass through you. You can connect to things that are relative, you can hold on to them in time, you can make things important, you can investigate whatever you want. But just what about this is what we want you to see. You are giving yourselves a way to distract you, is one way people would say it. You are distracted with the cult world and get back to the real world, but it's truly not a distraction. It's a reality to explore. Now, it does not, of course, as we spoke earlier, have tangibles. It doesn't have edges and it doesn't have proven certainties. But what it does have is an intriguement that cannot be denied by the self of natural. You must understand yourself as this world. Let's understand Akashica in and of itself. When you came here, and you've been here for a very long time exploring, you are having the ability known to be here as human, finding yourself from a conscience level. Before, you were connectivity, knowing your creation, but never imaged as not creation. That's what you're doing here. But you started way big and you've been investigating inside of you. So what does that tell you? Well, that you have experience. It is time-based, and this is why they are allies. You can parallel yourself or para yourself into many probable lives of futures and past and draw upon those vibrational connections and validate the information, knowledge, experience that you've already had to use as an attribute of tools to explore the current that you have, because again, time is an ally. But you cannot command those with doubt, because doubt causes friction, static, an unreliable source that is not vibration and authentic, because the proven mind is interceding to the idea of you and saying, I don't think that's really true because, and it convinces you because is more valuable than your connection that you've just experienced, right? Let me have a little bit of tea. So you feel good about these things of the teachings and the different verses that we've given you, and you've all interpreted them your own different way, and that's the exploration. See, it's your world. You will never match another person, ever, in the idea of perfect point of view. Everyone's point of view is individual, singularity creating the whole. The one are all and the all are one. I need a whole bunch of fucking ones to keep going as creation, individualized, which means there's a minimal idea, the smallest particle of information you can actually fathom. That is the differentiation between all singularities, which create forever. So no standards, everybody. No two are alike, right? Okay, so this exploration is yours. And it was very fearful, we understand, exploring you and trusting your truth in your world when the entire life that you've led is counter to the inside. It is outside of you as an objective to you. It repels your natural, right? That's the polarity. You've taught that to yourself. You're very versed at it. So you have a lot of understanding, and now with the conceptual new self you've created to do whatever you want with, truly, but one idea is Divinicus and Galacticus, and you can hang out on Earth until you pass along, or whatever it is, but it's only going to be your truth. No one will ever truly know what you're experiencing, so you can't worry about leaving people behind or wondering if they're okay, or all the human drama that you give yourself to keep you tied into a certain frequency of truth. So now you're exponentially good about that. You are seeing that's been your life, but now your life is seeing you have other lives to explore. Now, the lives, we're not talking about a self that you are and then becoming a self over here and not remembering this self. The lives we're talking about is the living you, the current life. You are living so many lives. You are many nows living so many lives. And we understand that you only validate the one life that you are because that's the one that is all. Well, do that. Don't look for another way to know another life because that's thinking and trying to prove a fact to you that's been given by the multiverse universe conceptualization. You don't really need it. What you need to do is focus on this world attracting its truth and giving you the multi-universes out there, the multiverse, the multi-dimensional self you are, the multifaceted self. That's another world we'll explore together when it is a time benefit, if you will. Water now. Yes, Roxanne, very good. Okay, so if you look at this idea that we've given you, you have nothing that counts in human. Now that's exciting. We don't want to give you human things. You had enough of it. I mean, for fuck's sake, so some of you have been after this for 3 years. It's got to be taxing after a while. It's kind of almost becoming a grind. You know enough to not. If you choose not yourself polarized, then that's your choice. That is up to you. No one else is going to come and rescue you, or we have a pity party. Not in this class. You can go find that drama outside of. But you come to us and we're going to say, stuff it. Get out of here with your diarrhea. Hey, let's talk about, let's say, the in-between worlds. Let's understand the blending of two planes. Let's explore together so we can start to take this little idea, truths of fact coveted, and shake the shit out of it and start to crumble it into the idea of business and allow it to bend at its natural light. How about that? Instead of messing around with, oh, does this mean this? And what about that? And all that stuff. Look, I'm not interested. When someone in the class earlier started asking me these conceptual ideas of wants and needs, all I saw was this big fucking frequency of black molasses in front of me. And I was like, God, stop it. I'm not interested in polarity. You guys are very good. Now, I was interested in polarity as an approach. That's a whole different world. But when you bring it to me, you bring it to me as a truth with no other truth to be known. That is a big black fucking mess of gooey tar pits. Yeah. Anyways. So we gave you a sprinkling, if you will. We started to open your mind into what it is to be in a world that is made up of many different worlds in this way and in this way. You can go either directions. So let's continue to get smaller, since we started with the precipice of a big, large self and the Akashica and the big buns holding the whole thing in, and then the big meats being the densities and blah, blah, blah. And as we continue to go smaller, now let's look at simply the plane you are existing in. And let's start with third density. Within third density frequency range, just out of vibration, it's a vibrational stance. So frequency changes the rate of the vibration you are in, giving you a different valid playing field, a different plane within the density. Now, to change the density, you must change your vibration stance. It's the big radio station, and then you fine tune within it, right? Y'all get it? It's really honing it in. Once you're connected with 100, before you get to 101, you can go through all those points of frequency, and each one of those points of frequency in and of itself is another vibrational connection world. And of course, all the in-betweens in there too. So if you want to change your vibration itself, you must go what you would consider a whole point. Now, that's not the truth of it. That's just a reference. Each individual will understand this as their own way to experience that, and have already done so to be able to know itself in vibrational shifts within and without densities. Okay? So available third is where you are. The physical realm, you cannot sustain this physical body in second density because you do not know the complexities of the form you must take as this conscious self. However, you can vibrate and have an experience in second density from an awareness point of view of moving your consciousness to that density and experiencing what it is to be 2D, if you will. And it's not just two-dimensional, but it's the beings that exist in a three-dimensional world that are having a 2D experience. It's a relative reality as well. There's a whole bunch of versions of 2D within 3D frequency range that you can get to, and there's also plateaued planes of 2D in itself. One is the dimension that sits inside of the density of second density, and one also is the density in and of itself, which encouches the 2D parallel reality inside of that, which is another density that sits side by side. So there's a lot going on. Remember, we're all thought. So if you can think of it, you can experience it. And if you can experience it, oh, blessed ye, you can express it. And that changes it. It brings more of it to us. Very exciting. So you don't want to, at first, to have a know-how how to do that, because I can't teach you. This stuff is unteachable. This stuff is known. You have to knowable yourself in a reference. Colton had an experience. He watched the DIY, went into the bathroom, saw the wallpaper, and did it. He said these words, I've got this, because he already knew himself in the future of time, but truly he knew his skills in the now. He did not doubt, so that it became a reality. Without the know-how, this is such the same. To shift frequencies, to shift density, vibration fields, if you will, going from one density to another, to another, to another, right? And you can take your physical body into the fourth density and it will already vibrate, listen now, to a light body, because you already have a light body. But the human form cannot exist in a relative experience to command a relationship with 2D, right? So it's not a wrong thing. You can still have the experience, but it's not going to be from the conscious you, because you can't know yourself as that unless you experience through the thrust. That's your game of evolution, by the way. It's not permanent. It's just now your skill set. But you do have the skill set to transpire into the fourth density, transcend into the fourth density anytime you want, because your entire species is still connected with human. Human encompasses sapien, human encompasses Neanderthal, human encompasses Cro-Magnon, human encompasses everything that's human, including the future. So you're already experienced, past tense, in the realm of fourth density. Now that is using your imagination, your highway to all that is, if you will, your frequency highway. So these galactic knowings, right, are to be known as potential and to be experienced as an evolution and to be known as the evolution unmeasured, and no provability has room to know that it is proven, and you will know it before you even know it. True it. True it. You will know it before you even know it, because it's already known. That's the spooky thing about the now from time. You grew up in time, and growing up in time is a wicked journey to know time's already happened, no matter where you are. Now, but this is really good. It says spearmint tea, very good. I always try to get the cuisine wherever I go. Doesn't matter where. Always good to experience that. Anyways, I get a little off track. So, me, the Mudluff, the interdimensional, in between. I'm well versed in these worlds, and I just gave you a pass, not a permission slip, a connectivity pass. You have already opened the doors. If you've watched today's class, then you have within your context a knowing that's already known and explored by your future you. If you approach this from time, I'm going to get to that, about the different verses that we've discussed. If none of it jives with you, it doesn't matter. But within the field of my teachings, my speakings, my offerings, there is always passionate connection. See, there is what you would call an always truth. No matter where you are at in any relative reality, time or no time, there's always an absolute connection with the unknown, your next self that is attached, drawn into you, magnetized. You cannot deny. And as you experience, you always change your frequency truth. Your frequency true attracts the unknown, and therefore you are unknowable. Blah, 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 blah. You know this. Okay, so anyways, back to you. Knowing that your mind is going to seek you to know in certainty. Your self that is exploratory knows the journey, Roxy's Odyssey, epic journey, to investigate the nows, to take a chance to see what it is with no sight of expectation, no hope of proving, no defined outcome, no better, no worse, no operation, approach, zero of a polarized mind. You can have it within your presence because you can never lose yourself, that you already are. You already are. You'll never know not you. So you have polarity within you. But if you use it as a truth, then you become polarized, right? So you approach this investigation into the Alterverse. The Alterverse, just the word, has opened up a world for you. The world in the Alterverse is known as yellow. It statues itself out of the blackness of potential. And potential blackness is not darkness as a negativity. It's just undefined yet, right? And you bring the consciousness into your awareness and you start to put your light on it and it starts to take form magically, right? Your creation ship, a vibrational match. You're going to have to get used to. That's a good point, Roxanne. I like that. You're going to have to get used to being effortless. I'm going to go back to Colton. Colton was an explorer of a task that got her. I'm sorry, I refer you as a her because that's how I know you. In between, her hands wet. Physical movement to create, sweat, done, and look. Feels good, exceptional, a true master. Enjoying its artistry, right? Okay. In Godship, there is not a lot of that kind of fulfillment. In other words, physical. See, when you create a world and you know it as a creation, your work has just been seen and felt. You have the same passionate connection to step back and go, damn, that's beautiful, right? You have that. Just like you did good work. Just like at the end of the day of a big project. Those outcomes that you relied on for images are now experiential moments, adding in the element of time to have a moment of reflection. Okay, exceptional. So in the now of creation, you don't use your hands a whole hell of a lot. What you have is your attraction experiences and the thrusting paint that falls upon the canvas that creates this imagery that is gorgeous to reflect upon. The artist taking life in front of you. See, that motion is your choice in expression. That's the palette. That's the canvas. That's the musician playing. It's the expression. It's the moment of engagement. It's the same thing, but it doesn't take place in a physical relationship. See, in the physical relationship you guys had in this evolutionary universe, you had an outcome that needed to be sought because it gave you a defining purpose of betterment, obligation, of doing it to lead to betterment, which is accompletory, and you love it. And that's wonderful, okay? But in this world that you will explore, the different verses you can go into and create so many different ways. You know, you understand what an artist is, you know, and you understand this palette of paints and a canvas and an easel and different types of brushes and beautiful light, you know, and then bringing all that into and expressing it, right? Can you imagine all the worlds I've already talked about and how many different tools you have in there to express, right? It's endless, my friends. So don't rely on the physical for an experiential outcome that you can reflect upon. You got to get used to being the explorer and the expresser of the moment that is the equal to the artistry known as the physical reality of execution, of expression. The musician, the gardener, a person that is cleans, you know, that loves to clean and look at the work. That's physical. You must remember what it is to be filled as an expression that is equal to a job well done, right? An exceptional thing you've created. Okay, those are equals. So since you are transcending into different vibrational frequencies, that's why, since you are doing that, that's why we want you to focus on the moment so damn much so you can start to see really how you are creating, attracting, and expressing the unknowable. And you are feeling it at such intense vibratory frequencies unknown to this fractal constant, but known to this intuit, this heart, that you can see this unfolding inside of you. You can feel the work you're doing, the things that are starting to draw in realities of unknowable. And you can feel them become alive in you, and the colors dance, and the worlds don't make sense in your mind anymore, and your physical realm starts to take different bending lights, and all of a sudden things don't quite add up anymore, and all of a sudden things become bleeding over from one reality to another. You can have that because you're not set. You're not safe. And you sure as hell aren't known. Okay? So this is okay to get used to. If the moment calls for it, become the best physical idea. Express it with all of your gumption. That's here on Earth. You chose this reality and have an evolutionary experience with starting with nothing. But your relationship is not defined by the outcome as an image. The relationship is I can. But the moment calls for this explorer to express, to speak a truth in the moment that calls for no truths ever known, that will be defiled by the people in the presence that don't see eye to eye with you. And that expression is the artistry. You will know on how you can move mountains, collectives, and create new realities for all. Because you spoke an authentic work. You spoke God, right? That's what you guys are doing in this. Why you came here. Vibrated into this exploratory self to not know your God so you can remember. Masterful. And I offer versions of you within your world, present now, within Akashica. Many planes, many pieces of meat stacked up, cheese, even a layer of olive spread, all cut up very nice, kind of like a malufa. Malufa? Malufa? I can see the word, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, when you're exploring words, if they are undefined, then you know there are worlds to know about that word. Alterverse. Strikes yellow to me. Doesn't matter if it's yellow to you. if we're viewing it from the same point of view, frequency match, chances are they're going to be yellow, but they're not going to be the same yellow always, because I can never see your yellow, right? So the altiverse is an alterive, okay? Alterive, what does that mean? You have alternate, which is, well, let's look at the idea of substitute. Alternative, alterive. You have a backside of you that leads the way, an alternate you. In that universe, the self that you are makes the decisions based on that. Then the alternate self chooses the vibrational reality that experiences. So there's literally two of you created in that verse. I'm going to explain. I see this looks good to me. I say I want to do that. I say yes to it. Now it goes to my alter self, my alternate. Alternate? That's a tough one. Alternate. Substitute. Yeah, I have to put it together, this. Yeah, that works. So I flip positions. Then I self have the choice already made for me. Then I move into that unknown as an experience of not knowing what I just chose. It's kind of always a known, unknowable idea alternating. Then myself as an experience with no time involved, unless you add time in the element, chooses the next vibrational match, switches, and I become the unknown choice as the experiencer enrichment. So that's just a glimmer. That's enough for you to go into. So alterverse, alterive, at the backside of you, the secondary thought is more in line with the substitute you, because these two yous are the same yous, but you always get different points of view from the alternative self. It's not the opposing self. It's the self that is likened to you, but it is its own exponential universe, both connected, both knowing it's all that is, and all that hoopla you guys sometimes get confused about, but it is that. And the reason why it is yellow, it's because yellow is a frequency of a consistent change. How about that? We don't know why. It just looks that way when there's a world that is a consistent change. In your world is more bluish. Okay, it's got a temperament of blues. Now, within the blues in your frequency band range, of course, you have all the frequency changes in your blue world that comes up purples and pinks and reds and blacks and things like that. But we call it blue because this universal is reflective, and for some reason that's never been scientifically figured out, because we don't give a shit. This reflective world of Akashika, it becomes blue. And you can know your universe as you travel to. And there's many to explore. So if you go to the Alterverse, and I gave you an idea of what it's about, then you can start to let your mind travel there with the connection of yellow, which is already validated within your known self, that's already there in the future, blah, blah, blah. Then you know it, and it starts to tell you a story about the Alterverse and the lives that you can live on there. Now, it's in that's exciting, yes, Roxanne? If you are to live in the Alterverse as a physical self, it's still one you, but you switch immediately, different selves. And it is different than this, because this self is choice from one or the other. The other is a constant changing of the self. Changing regards every vibrational choice. And a choice is not yes or no unless you add time. A choice is that. It's attraction. And then the self knows it not to express it. So the dynamic of the unknowable takes a whole new slant. It's a very exciting universe. Multiverse. I know the universes. Yeah. I'm going to have some more tea. Sometimes I get confused in the worlds. It is a lot to know. I think sometimes not being smart, being forgetful, or not having exactly the right thing to say by an opposing universe, something of opposition and polarity, then I think that would be in something of a judgment. I can see that. So if you forget something, stammer, or don't quite know how to express it, I would beseech upon you not to look down on yourself, okay? Because this is exploratory. I'm in an exploratory world. There's worlds I go to, that I go in between and find the worlds that you are so dialed in. I'm going to give you something. It's surprisingly boring because you're so dialed in. But those are worlds that are contained. And once you've been contained and dialed in, well, you just kind of know. Okay. World's getting a little rubbery for me. Time moves forward and frequencies change and the stability becomes bendable, if you will. I don't want to do omniverse yet. The Alterverse is enough. I can see the mind exploration starting to unchink the tethers and allow the frequencies to be known in your conscious self, and therefore leading to pictures, visions, vibrational matches, if you will. And then you can start to inquisit yourself about it and see where it takes you. I've given you enough on this world. This world here and its densities and frequencies. I'm exploring our conversations to know if there's anything I want to clarify on. See, everything is a position when I look at time. Everything through Roxy's mind. I'm speaking, of course, because I'm the Roxy Mudluff hybrid right now, right? The blending of the twos. So I see things in positions in my reality. The Alterverse is over there, and it sits upon a kind of like a mountaintop, but coming out of the black. And I see yellow. It would be peaks, like a castle, that are like a yellow light shining upon it. Except the castle itself is not very big, but it does have lots of little points on it, kind of like flagpoles with no flags. You know, very steep, pointed. Concrete, and it's light yellow is shining on it, and it's dusted with what you would call a lacquer over a yellow glitter. That's how I see that. See, that's the translation of the Alterverse. Now, if you go over here, and I need you to go with me, though. You have to come with me, okay? Now, come back over here with me, back up with me, and now I want you to look at your world. Okay, so I'm not slipping through there. I'm still the presence in your world, but I'm going to slip through in time. Okay, and I'm going to use time as my entrance point, as it's a tool. Remember? Am I looking at you guys? Yeah, I am. Well, thank you, Roxy. Sometimes I get, my north-south goes up and down. So I entered at a time, and I go there because it's true, right? It's already in time, so we can go to already was, because it's the same as the now. So back up with me. Back up and look at your world. Now I see it would only like coming out of the Black Sea, but there's no skyline and there's no back. It's just this space, and then there's a a half a world, but the world is just blue. It doesn't take form of a blue earth. It is blue, and it is an entire frickin' universe. Not only do you see billions and billions of galaxies, but you have the in-between frequencies to see the endless amount of what you would call spider-webbed frequency lines that decorate this blue world. It's blue from afar, but as you go closer, then everything starts to come into view. Isn't that neat? So now you can travel inside of your own world and see how the dynamics of structure take place according to your translation of truth, which doesn't need to match anyone else's, right? We went over that. Just know that your truth is that of that, okay? Is that something? That's something. Hang on, that's something. Yes, yes, that is something. Okay. Hello, I'm back. So when you are stable in a reality as a truth, then know that those truths of that reality, some of them can't go with you. Otherwise, you cannot experience a different frequency interpretation. So I've given you, because your mind is open, worlds. You have two to explore. I would do most of your investigations in this world if that is your truth, but the Alterverse is expandable and explorable by you because it's already you. It's already been. Any questions? I think that's all.
Yeah, I have a question. Hello.
Hi.
Is it ALTI or ALTA verse?
Oh, Altiverse, Alti.
Cool. Thank you.
That would be more transcendent vibrational match than Alta.
Thank
Is
you.
that what you were going for?
Yes, thank you very much.
That's it?
Yes.
Ah.
Who are we?
Huh?
Who are we speaking with?
We just considered me a mudluff. An in-betweener is the best vibrational match. What I do is I explore within worlds the interworkings of it. You go into the sub-basements of things. You go behind the walls between the rooms, right? You go into the floor and discover there's a subfloor. The in-betweens. I like exploring there. So I don't have a real incarnation set in any dimensional plane as an experience. Being that connectivity of like in references being easiest one is being a Pleiadian or being a human or being a what is that new species you guys created? Yeah. You know, so I'm a frequency that partakes in no definable setness. So I wander to experience, and I've been at it a very long time, and just in your world alone, because it's just well, it's large and small, which means it's large. See, the smaller you go, the bigger it gets. There's no ending to it. It looks small to a mind that conceptualizes a starting point, a reference. But this world is very big. But you consider bigger worlds and you consider smaller worlds because you reference yourself from a starting point. If you take away the validation truth, you can still have it within you, but that you're not a starting point, that you're just a reference, then you don't have to command your experience to be tied in with how big you are, how small you are. And then if you make yourself smaller by diving inside of you, you'll see how big you are. So Mudluff, I like the name. We understand it comes from Earth. I smell food. It's not Roxy's food. It's green beans, not string, the cut kind, frozen, with black pepper added, mashed potatoes, gravy, butter. and carne asada, carne, carne, meat. It smells good. Any other questions? Anyone have eyes? Roxy, you want to give me something to look at? It gives me the eyes take in an enormous amount of light, but the light is translated as bright and lower, but it also is translated as vibration. So the eyes are taking in all the frequencies of what you would consider light in, which is a lot of light. So it's very bright here in that relationship. It's really just an enormous amount of information is what it is when the eyes open. It's like, wow. So we preference them shut. But I see no hands up. Right, Roxanne? I don't see any.
I have a
Uh,
question.
oh, hello, Katie.
Hello. So, since you are able to travel wherever you like, have you ever come across or met a class like
Well,
Roxy's somewhere?
hang on. It's not that I'm able to travel. Always consider yourself what you were as a reference point. I never knew myself as unable to travel. So whenever you express, consider your expression polarized at first so you can see eyesight of the way you speak vibration, which contextualize you into a solid. So in other words, I've never been unable to travel. Does that make sense?
I feel like
Hello?
I'm thinking too hard.
I didn't learn
kind of.
to travel. Since you are able to travel, when was I not able to? Never, right?
So you're saying like we brought you here, which
No,
enabled you
no,
to
no, no,
travel.
no, 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 no. No, you were definitely overthinking this, but I'm going to
Yeah.
explore this with you. It's like saying to someone else, oh, now that you're able to breathe,
Gotcha.
do you get it?
Got it.
I've never
Yeah.
been not able to breathe, well, Roxy, and so therefore I've never not been able to travel. What I'm saying is you looked at me with a human point of view. Since you are able to travel, have you? That's fine, but look at your attachment. The way you see me is an ability gained. I never lost abilities. I always know them in the now. Okay?
Okay.
No, I have not. There is no class like this because human is so unique from your standpoint. There are replicas all over the place about humanity. Replicilian, replica, reciproca, reciprocating. There's a whole bunch of diminutive ideas and expansive ideas on human being a model, but none can be duplicated at the existentialism, that's a long word, of you and your unique journey. So no, because this now, everything about where you are at, always know this, is uncharted territories. Now, if I go to futures, yes, there are classes like this, but not this class. They don't have the same uncharted territories. You guys brave the way and clear the muck so people can walk down a path of easement. You're taking the jungle and you're hatching everything out of the way so people can have an easy travel time. I think it was said, you guys suffer so others don't have to. But the suffering is now just experiential. It would be hot, hard, heavy work, but you cleared the way for all of your friends to come and play. Does this equate? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for the stance. We forgot you unmute yourself and mute yourself, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that was good. Thank you.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay. Nice clock. Anyone
Thank you.
else? No. 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 Okay. So let me let me surmise something. I'm always going to change, and so are you. When you can get the notion to embrace your change, you're going to know and understand everything I've ever said. The way you get to do, the things you get to do that you attach as something to do, important, time passers, accomplishments, valued, measured. When you release those statutes and you become the experience of what I am, just a wanderer, just a known to know itself, right? You're going to see what it is to be you. You're going to know it. So these things I've offered, explore them. I know they don't have the same value of making yourself feel better of measurement. I can feel the frequency of evolution about your own prison. But your prison is not needed to be focused on. And your prison will not occur. But the grounds that I offer to walk on, this new, let's say, park, is an unfamiliar place. The trees are different. The grass is feels a little odd. The texture isn't as known. But the references are there. Because you always have the references of match, and so it's quite easy to transcend worlds. It just can't be done with a logical mind. So give yourself some exploratory time to let the imagination bring to you that which you are. Otherwise, you could not imagine it. And don't worry, your prism will still be there if you validate it, how you validate it. Don't habit yourself. Explore yourself. So me, little Mudluff, I'm going to hang out and eat. Bye-bye now.